Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Versus Universe commentary for Jaime Reyes versus Ben Tennyson, otherwise known as Blue Beetle versus Ben 10. I was trying to see if I could do that before the disclaimer ended, and I did. I'm so good at talking. Nobody shut me up yet, and it's crazy. So this episode was, I wouldn't say challenging to make. There was certain stuff that I wanted to really do with it, and I don't know. I'm a little, a little like I'm like trying to watch the episode to like remind myself because it's been a while since I've like worked on this. I've been pretty focused on like another video I'm working on, and not even focused on the next Versus Universe episode really. I think like after I record this, I'm gonna like probably like take a shower and probably focus on ironing out Roxas versus Dark Pit, because that's coming out hopefully soon. I got both VAs for that. It's a little hard to like tonally write something where like a character's kind of like being a little jokey and then the other character's like a little more serious. There's tonal balance that I want to really implement with that episode specifically. But like that's not Dark Pit Roxas is in this episode. It's this is still Ben 10 versus Blue Beetle, and immediately I want to say a big thank you to everybody who helped out on this. There was Narrow, who probably was the biggest help out of everybody, because like as soon as I mentioned this to him, he was like, "You're doing a comic book character. I want to edit his analysis for you." Like volunteered, and I was like, "If you want to do that, go ahead, be my guest, because probably be something better than I can make it." I still write the analyses. And like obviously I write and record them, but I let him submit funnies for editing. So, like, there's tons of stuff in Jaime's analysis that are like I wouldn't have really thought of it. That he like came in like screaming Jaime at the strength mode thing. That was a little weird. I did fully edit all of Ben's analysis, and it ended up being the longer one anyway. So like I saved some work for myself, but I didn't like. I really didn't. I would have edited Jaime's analysis anyway, but like I was kind of like, I was hesitant to do this, specifically do like Ben 10 in an episode. Like I wanted to, because I think Ben 10's a really interesting like character to use in a versus sense. But there's that big old elephant in the room with Death Battle. I'm like, hopefully I'll like mitigate the backlash from this episode with like the kind of like stuff at the end where I talk about like this is not Death Battle. I don't do winners. I don't really see value in that. And like I just holy shit, it's me. I'll never get used to this. I do have a physical bit in mind for Roxas Dark Pit. I just remembered seeing myself that I need to remember to probably do that after I'm done with this. So like, wow, we're only 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. DaVinci Resolve is crazy. That's another thing too. I didn't really talk about this at all in the build-up. I fully moved over editing programs. Like, I don't know why, but like since I was 17, I want to say, I've been using a cracked copy of Sony Vegas, and it wasn't good. Sony Vegas is now like a good program, but I was used to it, so like I was hesitant to move over from any other program into something else. But I recently like hard reset my PC because I needed to. It was being really slow. I figured like a system reset would help out in that regard. So I got rid of like all my programs, but I saved all my files on external drives. I just got rid of like most of the programs that were downloaded to my internal drive in my computer. And one of them was Sony Vegas, so I had to like start from scratch. I remember hearing about DaVinci being like a really good, just completely free editor, and I've been using it for everything I've done since I want to say February this year. And sorry, that's an in joke. I'm gonna put more in jokes in these people are just gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So like I switched over to DaVinci and it's been working out really good. It's served me well. I think the best thing about DaVinci is probably the in-app like audio editor that I'm literally using to record this right now. Fairlight is what it's called. It's been a godsend, especially when I was editing the actual fight. It was really easy to keep track of everything and just having it all in one place as opposed to like doing that all in Sony Vegas was not very fun. So yeah, looking forward to using this more going forward, really getting familiar and intimate with the program. Um, this clip I wanted to include because it's like one of the most popular Ben 10 clips. This is Wrath. Wrath was one of the aliens where I was like, I want to include you in the fight, but like, I don't know where it would happen. And I already have a comedic transformation with gray matter, and I would rather do that than have Wrath in there anyway. So I just chose to use gray matter instead of Wrath. I'm sure that Wrath could have fit into the script somewhere, but I don't know. I didn't want it to feel cluttered. Is the thing like each transformation has a unique purpose to him, like using it. It's either like for what's the term for like legacy's sake, because there's forearms and there's diamond head, or like for utility's sake, like there's upgrade and there's feedback. And even then, those are both pretty liked transformations anyway. Feedback, like maybe not so much, but I mean, yeah, I think like the main ones, and Heat Blast. Heat Blast is also like a legacy one. Oh, the analysis is over, and I gotta say, finding an end clip for Ben was fucking hard. I wanted to get a clip of Yuri Lowenthal saying it's Yuri Lowenthal. Yuri Lowenthal saying it's hero time, but I just couldn't. I couldn't find one that wasn't like a meme, so I just found one of Tara Strong, even though I hate her. I hate Tara Strong so much for a lot of reasons. That doesn't matter to this versus universe. Yeah, so this is all edited by Nerio. He's also like hardcore into like the comic side of stuff, so like he knows his shit. With all, even with like extended universe stuff. But like he got introduced to Jaime through like Batman Brave and the Bold, which I didn't really watch when I was younger, but I did watch Young Justice when I was younger. That was my introduction to the character of Jaime. Like I didn't even know that there were other Blue Beetles. I just thought like Jaime was a Blue Beetle until I like did some research on him, and I was like, oh, okay. And let's talk about this matchup actually real quick, because Blue Beetle is a DC character, and Green Lantern is also a DC character, and I remember when I was like more of a fan of Death Battle, like that was around the time that episode was coming out, and I was very much in the mindset that like the Maxwell Lord. I love this clip so much because I always forget that like Pedro Pascal like played Maxwell Lord. That's one of the craziest things ever. Anyway, there's so many good like little bits. Yeah, I was really into this idea of like Jaime Reyes, specifically versus Ben 10, because I love the teenager aspect of it. Like they're both like teens that like get this alien power, and it empowers them to like become a superhero, and they both have like similar-ish personalities. Jaime's a little more reluctant, and Ben's a little more like overeager, but like I feel like they like work well with each other. Uh, so I was really into this idea, and then they did like Ben 10 Green Lantern, and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. But like I always had a real soft spot for like this specific idea, and I figured if I do like any DC matchup ever, it's probably gonna be this one. And really, this was more of an idea that I wanted to incorporate like Jaime into, as opposed to like Ben, because really I was more focused on oh, I'm gonna die from talking too much. You know what sucks when you have asthma and like you want to talk, but like you need to breathe. So I just have to take breaks in my sentences but I just that's good, like good it's another editing that Neria did that is like, oh, that's funny. It's funny. But like I was really into this idea. Um and like I figured if I ever did a DC matchup, it was going to be this one. More so than like any other DC matchup really. And that's also because I what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of something. I have a sentence cooking in my head. Uh, oh yeah, because like I think that Jaime is like, if not my favorite, one of my favorite DC characters like ever. He's definitely up there. I really enjoy Jaime in like anything he's in. He's my probably my second favorite. Any version of the Flash that isn't like Bart or something. Speaking of Bart, he's right there. Um, I really enjoy Jaime, like his powers, his abilities, but also his character is really interesting to me. Like his struggle with Scarab is like interesting and complex in a way that I don't think I think he's unique among like DC characters. Uh, uh, I just really like it, and I figured if I was gonna do Jaime ever, it's gonna be versus Ben 10, and that was the big hang up. Like, how am I gonna incorporate Ben 10 into this? Like, I was coming as like from a Jaime first, Ben second approach when like I was coming up with it, and then like getting to Ben, I'm like, okay, I feel like I can write something interesting around this now. By the way, that's Blue Beetle's first appearance. In his first fucking appearance, he fought the fucking Spectre. It, it's just crazy shit like that. He lost, but like it's so crazy that he like held his own for as long as he did, which was one page. Uh, yeah, it's a little crazy. Just what Blue Beetle can do. And if I can raise awareness of this character that's getting his own movie, which oh my god, I completely forgot about that. The timing of that, the absolute timing of this lad, like literally, like I think 3 days, or not 3 days, because we had time to incorporate it into our edits. Both me and Nero, because I was editing the end slate analysis, and I was like I wanted to include it, and like he had time to include it too. Um, but like the timing of that trailer was crazy, absolutely insane. I think it dropped like I want to say like 2 weeks before the episode dropped, and like I mean it hasn't helped the views at all because these don't really get too many views. What am I gonna do? Like cater to the audience? That's not what I like to do. Uh, I should say it is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. Uh, because in the thumbnail, technically Ben has the Ultimatrix and he shouldn't have it, but it's the best fucking render of that costume on him. And I love the green jacket costume. That's like my favorite look for him. And I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. It matches the Jaime render I wanted to use. And I didn't have time or like to pay somebody to edit it so that it's just like his wrist. I just like we'll fucking keep it, whatever. But like, he doesn't use the Ultimatrix in the fight because he doesn't have it. He has the Omnitrix. But like I remember like finding out about that, and I was like, God fucking damn it. So, the talent for this fight was a little. I don't want to say harder, but it was a little harder than most of cast. Uh, so when I announced like the season proper, I have like a private Discord server that like most of the people that like work on the series are on, and I like listed all the characters that didn't have a voice actor, so that they could possibly audition for them, and like if they wanted to voice them in the series later on, they could. And Flip sent in a couple, some for the finale, and some for before that. One of them, I believe, was Ben 10. I'm gonna double check that. Uh, he, he did a great match. Yeah, he did. He did a Ben 10 audition and an audition for the finale. So I was completely correct. He also did a separate Grey Matter audition for some reason. So thank you, Flip. And the idea for Jaime was I wanted to cast somebody Hispanic in some way, Latino, and I had a buddy of mine, Ed. Ed, or Cosmic Magician, as he's credited, because I don't want to like dox him. I'm not sure if he's too comfortable with like using his real name, but I did it anyway because that's how I know him. So sorry about that. I just I was like, I wanted to cast somebody like that because I want to really hammer home like, yeah, like he should be voiced by somebody Latino because he's like, that's the part I really like about Jaime. Like he's like representative of like a community that isn't represented too much in like superhero stuff, and that's something that always like spoke to me personally. Like when I was first getting into the character, I was like, oh, he's like unapologetically Hispanic, and that's interesting and cool, and I like that. Hot take, representation is fucking rad. And I wanted to like fully represent that as well with somebody who was like A, Hispanic, and B, a fan of the character. And I believe Nero was the one who told me like, yeah, Ed's favorite character in DC is Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes. And I was like, well, I'm gonna ask him if he wants to voice him, and he said yes. So, people have been like a little harsh on Ed's performance, but if nothing else, I wanted it for the authenticity of it, and for what it's worth, he did a good job with what I gave him. And then also, the other interesting thing with the voices for this episode. Let me take a little drink of water so I don't die. Oh dear Lord, I'm gonna sneeze. Achoo! There it is. The other interesting thing with the voices for this episode was the introduction of different people playing the different aliens. I wanted to have a couple that had the signature D-Switch signature on it. The signature D-Switch signature. I'm so good with words, I should be a writer. But we had Rox as Heat Blasted Diamond Head, I believe. We had Scizor as Feedback and Grey Matter. Nemesis Bloodreich as Brainstorm, and Brainstorm, by the way, was one of the ones who were like, it's a little wacky, but like I have a personal connection to it. I can't remember if it was like McDonald's or something, but like I vividly remember having a Brainstorm toy as a child, and like that design is like seared into my brain hole, and I was like, I want to include this because I think it'd be funny, but like also, what fucking accent does he have? So I like look at the clip of Brainstorm because I just remember the design and like the character. I don't remember the fucking voice they gave him, and like I looked it up, and he has a fucking like German accent, and I was like, I don't know if Nemesis could like do that. And like he said like I don't know if I could do that, and I was like, why don't you just like make it like just like trying to make it a little more like uptight British? And he was like, okay, and then he got back with like a couple takes of it, and I chose the stupidest one because it made me and my friends laugh the most, and it's good for comic relief, just like the stupidity of it, because there's like a fair amount of like jokes in here, but like I didn't want it to be like overtly humorous, kind of like, I hate to say it because I know people will hate this, but kind of like the tone of like a Marvel movie. Like they're jokey throughout it, but like they're still like having a good time. And they're like, I'm not talking to you right now. I need to talk about this art before we move on. So this episode was the first, not the last, but the first episode to have art created by me. I just burped. Sorry. So both of the art pieces were made by me. I'm not like the best artist in the world. I'll be the first to admit it. Like my background was just like shapes, but I wanted to I wanted to try my hand at like making something a little fun, more fun, and like have a little bit more of a hand in the creative aspect of it. Because usually I just send it off to like artists and they will do something for me. And I just realized what episode Deckhead can do doing art. There it is. There's Nemesis Bloodrike. Shout out to Nemesis. It's his second performance on the show, and it's his best one yet. Clever little sneak. Jesus. And here is an example of Flip doing an alien that I wanted to have the bass voice. And God bless Flip. He made it really easy for me. He put all the different aliens in the bass band voice lines in separate files for me. And there's something I noticed also with somebody who commented on the fight, and they were like, it's kind of crazy to me that in all of Ben 10 they don't have inner monologues of Ben using his actual voice and not using the alien's voice. I don't know how accurate that is, but I know they were it's weird that Ben 10 didn't really do that, and I wanted to have a little bit of that because otherwise I don't want to lose the character, and I want Flip to be the primary source of the character. So a couple times they'll have inner monologue just to make sure you remember, oh yeah, he sounds like Flippity Switch, that's right. There's a little bit of ability interaction that I like to write. It's kind of what would happen if Blue Beetle shot a beam and Ben transformed into feedback. And I wanted a specific thing with the episode. I wanted every transformation to feel like Ben thought of it, because if I'm being real, the Omnitrix transforming him by itself is a little lame to me. I think it kind of diminishes Ben's ability to really use this thing he's used for most of his life at this point, and having to be conscious decisions as opposed to just essentially luck is something I wanted to. And another thing too, I wanted, I thought it was funny that I have the emotional crux of the fight, the emotional core of how they relate to each other in this conversation. Ben's just a jet ray because he needs to fly. And he's just he just sounds like this. By the way, there's no effects on Mr. Flippity Switch's voice. Aside from, I think, a little bit of compression, just to even everything out. Yeah, that's full, Omnitrix, dude! Just full on like that.
Scarab, let him transform. I'm sure you want to see it too. Let's end this fight with a bang.
And also, I wanted to, another thing I wanted to do with the fight was eventually, have Jaime call Ben Hermano, and, have that be a part of it, you know. I was a little hesitant because I don't want it to seem like I'm, I hate to use, a term that, really, has negative connotations to it to some people, but I don't want it to seem like I'm appropriating culture by writing a Spanish word, and I was a little hesitant to do that, but, it's something he does in Young Justice, and I wanted to latch onto that because most of, if not all, of Jaime's interactions with, the Scarab are based off stuff that, happened in Young Justice, and, I like the idea of, the Scarab, talking to him, and you can hear the Scarab, but, nobody else can. That's something Young Justice did. It's something the comics do, too, but, the comics don't say what the Scarab says. They, have it be in, a reach alphabet, and I don't really like that. I like just being able to hear what the Scarab says, because it allows him a character. And it's an interesting character too. Yeah, I really like that, having that kind of the duo aspect of it, but also having it so that they have the same voice, but Scarab's a little more mononymous. Yeah, and here's Alien X. And this is another thing I wanted to do with the fight. Hold on, I need to breathe. Another thing I wanted to do with the fight was really hammer home, yes, Alien X, needs to be the end. It needs to be, the very last thing the Ben does, because if it's not, it, diminishes the amount that it matters. it's like stuff like this is kind of like I like to call like the Ultra Instinct effect. Like if I ever wrote a Goku fight, what I would do is I would save Ultra Instinct for the very last second, and I would have it be the climactic finale. Just for the finale, then Goku goes back. It amplifies the importance of the transformation by having it be the ending. And that's what I'm going to do with Alien X here. So, like, and also, I did this art too. It's a little upsetting that, like, it's kind of covered by text, but also I'm not too happy with how Jaime's face came out. So, you know, the text there kind of saves the art for me. I don't like that most people draw Jaime without a nose. Like, look, he doesn't have a nose. That's gonna bother you now, because I think you probably just noticed it the moment I pointed it out. Jaime just doesn't have a nose, and it bothers me. They don't draw an outline for the nose. It's disheartening. Give my boy a nose. Give my man a. Give my goat a nose. God. Just like the way they bounce off each other too is just. It was fun to write. I don't think I'll do like a hero v hero straight up fight like this for a little while. If nothing else, I think. Let me do a brain check. Yeah, no, not really. So it was interesting to like really have them like become like friends in both endings, which I don't think I've done yet. Like Or and Dunban, they're not really like friends. They just like they learn to like accept each other. That's a different thing. That's you don't need to be friends. But if you don't need to be friends to accept somebody. So like getting the right like both of them like becoming friends in different ways in the endings was interesting. Because like in Ben's ending, it's a little more like Ben centric, and in Jaime's ending, it's a little more Jaime centric. Who would have thought that? So it was a lot of fun and really interesting to like come up with like different scenarios that are still like similar. Where like Jaime stays with Ben and that's how they become friends, or like Jaime goes with Ben and that's how they become friends. But either way, just like hanging out with each other is like yeah. And I pointed out in like the ending, but like this is like I like to like write my fights as like sort of like the beginning of a crossover event, kind of, where like you could kind of see this escalating further and like going on to be like its own story in some way. Unless the fight ends in like a death, in which case it's the end of the story. But like in like these endings, there's like a beginning too, in a way, like of a different story. Like that's why I like end like D and SPy with like, and that's how D and SPy came to understand and know each other. Because that's like the story. There's a story to these fights. I try to make a little story in them, and it's fun to explore that in different ways that fit the characters in the worlds they inhabit. Um, it's important to like also like take into account like the universe, the versus universe. No, like the universe that the characters inhabit. Like they're both. I think both DC and Ben 10 are pretty like pretty adult in terms of like maturity, but like they still have a pretty light tone to them. There's still like jokey aspects to it. Sometimes to like its detriment. I will say I have trouble watching Ben 10 sometimes because it can be really really kiddie with specifically with its humor. But I think like when it gets to like character interactions, it can be a lot of fun. And same goes for Jaime. But I think DC is a lot more mature as well. What worlds they inhabit? What do you mean, Texas? No. Jaime is straight up from Texas. It's kind of crazy to think about. He could be going to Whataburger or whatever. I don't know what they got in Texas. Ranches, cowboy hats, Republicans. I don't know. Episode stays political even in the commentary. God, we are almost done. I'm excited for this to end. Not to be a spoil sport, but I have stuff I want to do. And I think I've said basically everything I want to say about the episode's production. I will say, episode took a long time to come out after Orin Dunban because there was a large period of time where I just wasn't able to work on it. Um, I'm aiming to like make these come out a little sooner than each other because in all of 2022, and we're almost halfway through the fucking year. We've only had two versus universe episodes, and I don't want what happened last year to happen this year because like two episodes last year were like big events, both around an hour long. One a little shorter, one a little longer. That both had like tons and tons of work put into them. We're like like
Hey
fucking
now,
super long.
can I get you a
Joker Journal and DNSP were like huge passion projects, and I don't want any. I don't want. I don't want every versus universe episode to really like feel like that. To make the ones that are like that a little more special.
stars?
Not to diminish the work I put into them, because like each versus universe episode is it's its own little baby, and I poop it out into the world and just I expect the world to love it. But like I want to be clear, like event episodes are gonna be event episodes, and like the idea I have for the finale has me literally like so excited. I I I like began work on it just like out of like necessity because it's gonna be so much work for me to do. I'm gonna need to write a lot, and gonna be a lot of voice actors involved.
Ready?
A lot of I believe a lot of custom art is not gonna need to be made.
You're gonna
It'll
need
all
some
be
glue.
explained in due time what's happening.
I need some
But
glue.
we'll get there when we get there. We got 5 episodes before the finale, and I plan to make them episodes that you all will really enjoy,
Here is a beetle.
including this next episode because we get to talk about Kingdom Hearts, and I'm a big fan of Kingdom Hearts. Can you tell? And I enjoy it. I'm also a huge. I love Kid Icarus Uprising. Kid Icarus as a series, but like Kid Icarus Uprising, that's peak fiction. And I was kind of wanting, as like a little joke, to have like the same person that played Jaime play Dark Pit because of Injustice. But then I remember that Injustice sucks, and I was like, never mind. That's a little joke me and my friends do. I wouldn't say Injustice is like the worst thing in the world. Yay, spaced out. We closed it on the song. Sometime I should like talk about all these songs that I make. Maybe one day. Um, I really wanted to like go pretty in depth with this like post fight to really satiate the uh you know you know I I think if I satiate uh the the people that might be a little hesitant, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And like have this be a little more in depth, just as like a little piece of insurance from me not to get my ass kicked on the playground. Back to this clip. Did you just eat the baby? uh, and just yeah, I just wanted to be a little bit more thorough than I usually am with this, just as a cautionary aspect of it. And I wanted to really kind of hype up both of them with how powerful they are, because they are really powerful. And like, I will say, some people like expect like this kind of fight to be like uh they see like no winners, and they just assume no research, and that's like the death battle mind, I think, like kind of taking place. That's why I can't, it's not like a catchy thing, but like that's why I wanted to like kind of brand this as like a non-verdict based researched versus show, because there is research that goes into it. I do like, you know, watch stuff and look up stuff about these characters. It's not like that doesn't happen, but I also don't really care about who wins, and that's what non-verdict based means. Um, but it is still like researched, and I wanted to, and I like to like implement like what the characters can do and like how powerful they are in canon. Like it affects the fight, of course it does, but it doesn't like affect the fight in a way that like shows who would win. It just affects the fight in like a way like, oh, you're representing the character faithfully. And like part of it is how strong they are, yeah, but part of it is like their abilities and their personalities and that kind of stuff. They are characters. They have personalities. I don't think people realize that. They aren't just a set of math equations. Guys, I promise, they aren't just a set of math equations. Guys, this can be cool. You're making it lame. No. This little bit is fun. And that's the end of the episode. It is not the shortest episode of season 2 quite yet. Almost said season 3. Season 2 quite yet, but I am super happy with how this turned out. Thank you to everybody who worked on it. This trailer, by the way, was a lot of fun to put together. I really love this song. And getting to edit. I wanted to only use Uprising clips for Dark Pit, and I did. And the last one is where he eats shit. I almost said sucker. Loser. He's a big loser. Anyway, next time, my 2 children fight to the death. Not JK, lol, bye.